Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So, today's episode is really a little story time about something that happened to me last night. And it reminded me of a lot of the questions that my clients ask about how to follow their intuition. A lot of women, when we're dating, we're looking for rules. Like we want this hard and fast set of rules. Like if I follow these 10 rules, then I will definitely meet my partner and it will all fall in place. And then we get very frustrated when things don't follow those rules, when the world around us, the people around us don't follow the same rules that we think we should be following to be successful. And one of those rules is follow your intuition. And you should follow your intuition. The challenge with that is, what is your intuition? And why has your intuition gone the wrong way so frequently? When we don't pause to ask that question and to try to figure out, wait, what do I even mean by following my intuition? And if it just works based on that cliche and on that statement, why am I still single? Why do I still get all these guys that aren't right for me? And why haven't I been able to follow my intuition to find the man that I want? And that's because all of these guidelines and recommendations and things that do help with dating, you have to use them with nuance. You have to use them in the particular context that you are in. And you have to be unattached and confident and grounded enough to know what the context is that's happening, how to use that tool that you've been given in a way that applies to the particular situation that you're in. And I went through something last night, not a big deal, but like it illustrated this and I really wanted to share it. So one of the things that women talk about a lot is like, they'll be like, well, I'm following my intuition. I'm following my intuition. And often it's because they just like something tiny makes them feel bad and they don't even know what it is, and then they fill in the blanks, they fill in the gaps with because of that thing, and then they well, you know what, I should probably just tell you guys the story, and then that way all of this will make sense. So I attend a writer's workshop a couple of times a month. I love this group, just fantastic people. The writers there are so talented and everyone just has amazing feedback on writing. I learn so much every time I'm there, and I've been attending probably about 4 months now. And then we all took a break over the holiday. And then we came back in January of 2025. So I hadn't attended the first one or two sessions this year. I think there was one, I didn't attend the first one. And then I attended the second one. And when I got there, it was like, oh my gosh, the group had almost doubled. I guess a lot of people wanted to write their books in 2025. And they were in the group, and there were almost like, I think they were like, most of the new people were men. And there was a large group of men that had joined. And so we were sitting around in this circle, about 20 something people. The writers who were reading that night were reading, and everyone was giving feedback. And we were all having fun. And it was great until one of the writers who is writing her memoir about divorce read some of her blog posts, which were fantastic, by the way. Like, this woman is she's great, and I would share her stuff, but I don't have her permission to share this story, so I'm not going to share all of the details here. So we were in the group. So she's reading her blog posts about her dating life and what's going on after divorce and all of that. And people are giving feedback. It's all fantastic feedback because she's a fantastic writer. And then this one man says, well, why are you complaining about dating? Well, you chose to divorce. So, I mean, what do you have to complain about? And, you could just hear a pin drop because that was so offensive, so unkind, so sexist. Because men don't have to hear that kind of statement about, like, well, you shouldn't be dating and why are you complaining. It was just not good at all. And the facilitator did a great job of kind of like not correcting that and making sure it didn't turn into a thing. Now, I tell this story because during the break, so the writer's workshop is almost 4 hours long. And during the break, this man who had made this very offensive statement had come up to me. During the break, we go to the cafe, we get, coffee, people just kind of mill and connect. And I was really tired, so I didn't really talk to anyone. I got my coffee. I was looking at the books, and then he came up to me and introduced himself. He was new to the group, and he was like, "Oh, you have an accent," which I do have an accent. Where are you from? And that question, when someone asks me that question immediately, it is a red flag, but it's not always a red flag. So there's two groups of people who will ask me about where I'm from or about my accent within a minute of meeting me. And one group of people are just people who are just like, oh, I'm just curious. And they're just curious. They don't really understand that people like me who have accents have to field this question 20 times a day. So it does get a little bit like stressful. But they don't mean anything by it. They're just curious. They want to know. They're interested. They're curious. They see it as a way of connecting with me and getting to know me, which is totally fine. I mean, I'd rather connect over other things on a first meeting, but it's fine. I can tell that this person means no harm by it, right? And so whenever I get the question, I always pause for a minute to be like, okay, what's going on here? Which kind of person is it? Because the other group of people are the people who are trying to put me in a box. They're just trying to be like, okay, this girl's got an accent. I got to figure out the angle and I need to figure out what's going on. And often it comes out of a place of I need to peg you in this box based on your accent, right? I need to know what the details are. And so in my initial vibes when he came up and asked that, well, I felt uncomfortable. It was just a very jarring question for a stranger to ask right off the bat. And so I was like, I answered the question, asked him a few questions, and he kept asking me questions about, life and things. And so I was like, I couldn't quite tell which group of people he was in. Our conversation was friendly, it was nice, but I mean, I didn't feel super great about it, but then I also didn't feel terrible about it. Right. So my intuition was telling me something. And this is where I want you to pay attention because sometimes your intuition is telling you something, but you may not know what it's telling you. And I see this so much with my clients and with women who are dating. They feel some kind of way, but instead of like pausing and waiting to see what is actually happening here and getting more information before making a decision, they fill in all of the gaps. In that interaction with this gentleman, I didn't have enough information to fill in the gaps. And of course, it was a low stakes situation, didn't really matter one way or another. We finished the conversation, got back to class. And it was in the second part of the class that he now was just so mean to this lady when he was giving quote unquote feedback. And I was like, oh, you are in this group of people, right? And so immediately I was able to put two and two together as to the kind of person that he was. And so now I'm like, okay, well, this is a person who's a part of my writers group. And so I just know, you know, stay out of this person's way because they don't know how to they don't know how to talk to women, right? They don't know how to behave. They're not as kind as I would like my interactions to be. And that space, so in the space of one evening, I got all the information I needed. And I want to use this to sort of describe how you should use your intuition when you're dating. Now, if I use my intuition in with one group of women who don't gather enough information and they're like, oh, I don't have enough information. Anytime I just feel like something isn't okay, I'm just gonna like cut the person off. The challenge with that is it doesn't help you get more confident. Because if you are in an interaction with someone and you don't know how to tell whether or not you have enough information, then you're going to eventually cut off people who are good for you because you didn't have enough information to make the decision, right? So that's one group of people. They feel some kind of way. I hear about icks all the time. Oh, I felt this ick. And that's nothing to do with, okay, well, there are all kinds of icks. There's the ick of, oh, this person wears New Balance sneakers, so they're not as fashionable as I would like. That can be an ick. What is that ick actually telling you? What is your intuition telling you about that? And a lot of people will fill in the gaps as to like, oh, he can't dress himself, all these things, and miss a potential partner, you know. And then there's the other group where now they have enough information. Maybe they went on one date and it was like, oh, I don't know, but I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to be open minded. And they go on a second date. And then on the second date, the guy says something offensive or he says something, sexist or puts them down. And they're like, oh, well, now you have the information. But now they're like, oh, well, let me give him a third date. Let me give him a fourth date. Let me give him more chances. And both of those ends of the spectrum are are not helpful. They sabotage your dating journey. And of course, again, there are no rules here, but this is why I teach my clients to slow down and learn to hold space for what is actually happening without projecting and to build the confidence to move on when they need to. So when I talked to that gentleman last night, I didn't have enough information to peg him one way or another. But because I know that like I can handle myself wherever, like I don't feel any fear about if someone criticizes me or puts me down or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, well, if you do that, like I know exactly how to handle that interaction in a way that keeps me safe. So I didn't have to think it all the way through. I didn't have to like have a whole game plan because I felt somewhat uncomfortable in that conversation because I didn't have enough information yet. And I was like, well, when I get enough information, I'll know what to do with him. And then when I saw him really invalidate this woman's experiences, at that point, I had enough information. So when I go to the writer's workshop next time, I'm just going to be like, if he comes up to me to talk, I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm unavailable for conversation with you, just because I just don't have that many minutes in my life where I want to spare minutes for someone who treats women in that way. And I'm not going to make space for, I'm not going to be open minded going forward. I'm not going to entertain this person going forward. I'm not going to attempt to make friends with this person. If this person tries to make friends with me, I'm going to be like, nope. According to my values and my requirements for friendships, you are not part of that bucket. And I can still go to the writers group and I can still give him, you know, a professional feedback on his writing, and I can still accept professional and respectful feedback from him if he gives it, but there will be no personal interactions. And I feel really good about that because I'm like, oh, here's the information that I'm using to make that decision. So when you're following your intuition as you should, I want you to start to say, what is my intuition saying? Don't just be like, oh, I felt this ache. Like there's just so much drama and so much chaos going on with dating. And I just see with so many women on the internet just spinning their wheels, spinning, 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 trying to keep themselves safe by like making so many guesses about the guys before they even have any information. And they're like, well, I'm just following my intuition and I just don't want to waste my time, which check out my episodes from early January on not wasting your time. It's not about wasting your time. It's about investing the time so that you're making the decisions you need to be able to achieve your goals. And then once you have the information, because it's not helpful to be open minded and slow down and be conscious and intentional. And then when you see the red flags or when you see the thing, it's not helpful to see all of that and then hang around. Like, no. Once you see it, don't hang around. But also, don't slam all the doors and burn all the bridges until you see it. Again, like I said, this is all very nuanced. There is a lot of context to this. If you feel like you are in danger, that is not the time to, well, let me see what's happening, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about just regular dating experiences that are not about safety, where you don't feel physically or, mentally unsafe. This is not about putting yourself in positions of danger. And definitely follow your intuition, but follow it consciously. Always ask why. Because if you can ask why and understand why that person made you feel uncomfortable, you can pinpoint it, then you're better prepared to date, you actually start to feel more confident because you're like, yeah, I'm not just going back and forth and being batted from one extreme to the other. I actually have a set of principles, and uh, I have pattern recognition based on my experience. And I've talked about intuition being pattern recognition in a prior episode, and I'll try to link that in the show notes. I don't remember the title right now, but that's what I want you to do. I want you to be conscious. It's about being conscious. It's about being in your prefrontal cortex, not in reactive mode. When you don't date from reactive mode, date from a slowed down, patient, conscious mode. And when I say patient, it's not like having patience with all the guys that aren't doing the right thing. It's having patience, gathering information, and then making a confident decision and not putting yourself in a position where you're just tolerating things that you shouldn't tolerate. Okay, that's my little story time about intuition. I hope that's helpful for you as an example of how to use your intuition when you're dating. We do this work in the Dating After Divorce Academy every week. Like we are in conversation every week, twice a week in the chats about like, hey, which way should I be leaning with this person? Should I be leaning like, hey, am I making assumptions, and or do I have enough information? And these are the really specific context-based decisions that I help my clients make so that they're not like confused. A lot of times when women make decisions, if you don't make it in a conscious way, then you're looking back the whole time. Did I let the good guy go? Oh, maybe I should have giving that guy one more chance. Maybe he was the one. And all of that mental drama keeps you from being able to create what you want. So I encourage you to check out the Dating After Divorce Academy. It is a 1-year membership where you get to work with me and other women who are dating after divorce. And we talk about all these things, not in a theoretical way. We're not sitting in there being sad. That none of that is happening. We're doing the work, right? There's plenty of forums out there where you can go and vent and be sad. But in the Dating After Divorce Academy, we've got hammer and nails, and we are fixing the problem. And the women in the group are meeting their partners because every day we're looking at the apps, we're looking at their lives, we're looking at what's in the way, and one by one, we're removing the things that are in the way. So if you're interested in this, it is a 1-year membership. It is $3,000 for the whole year. So you get access to working with me to ask questions. You have the video portal with all of my trainings and all of my processes, and you get the community as well for $3,000. And it is such a wonderful growth journey for everyone in it. Like all of the confusion around dating, this is where you get to deal with it. So dating doesn't feel confusing anymore. All of the frustration, you're like, oh, okay, I don't need to be frustrated about this, and I can fix this. It gives you control of the journey because too many people are like just feel like they're victims of all the men out there. They're victims of the dating scene that's terrible. They're victims of the dating scene being a dumpster fire, which is also a podcast episode that I'm recording it right after this one. I don't know which one will come out first. But if you hear this one first, just look forward an episode before or after this one called Dating is a Dumpster Fire. Now what? Can't wait to record that one. But yes, we in the Dating After Divorce Academy, what we're doing is acknowledging that the dating world can be a dumpster fire, but that's not the only thing that's happening. And you are more in control than you think. So if you would like to figure out how can I be more in control of my dating journey, I would love to talk to you on a consultation call. You can click on the link in the show notes to schedule a consultation call with me, and I'll walk you through how the Dating After Divorce Academy can help you meet the partner that you want. All right. I appreciate your time and attention, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to sadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.